Hello everyone, I am Huang. Today I will be introducing Colson Whitehead. I will introduce his life, his novels, as well as my thought on him. Let's get started. So, Colson Whitehead is an African-American novelist born in the November 6, 1969. He has been granted the MacArthur Fellowship in 2002, which was called the Genius Grant. Another author that we have covered so far who also received this Genius Grant is Octavia Butler, the author of the Parable of the Sower. In 2016, Whitehead received the award of National Book Award for Fiction. In 2017, he received Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. Most of his masterpieces are novels, and we will focus on his first novel and his newest novel in today's discussion. In 1991, Whitehead was graduated from Harvard University. After graduate, he started working at the Village Voice, where he wrote reviews of television, books, and music. But he always wanted to become a fiction writer. However, writer is a very special job. He could end up very famous or nothing at all. Knowing the career of a writer could be very hard. Whitehead insisted to write his first novel. Though Whitehead is now famous for his fictions, he claimed that he wasn't a good fiction writer at the beginning. Here is a video telling the story about his early writing experience. Let's find out how did he become a better writer on the fiction.
My first assignment, my big break, was writing about the season finales of the shows Growing Pains and Who's the Boss. It was the early 90s, and the TV editor seemed like an easy mark. And looking back, 25 years later, I think they really stand up as the definitive think pieces about those two shows, and I'm quite proud of them. I tried in college to audition for the creative writing classes, and was turned down each time. I was pretty terrible fiction writer at that point, but my big break was writing for the Village Voice, the alternative weekly in New York City. And if you don't know anything about it, the main thing to know about The Voice is that whenever you worked there, it was at its height, and when you left, it went downhill. So if you were there with Norman Mailer in the 50s, writing about beatnik culture, that's when The Voice was great. And then you left and it went downhill. I was there at The Voice from 91 to 97, and we put out a great paper. It's a shame what happened to it after I left, of course. But that's where I learned how to write, how to sit down and be my own boss. If you fail to hand in your article, you don't get paid. If you don't get paid, you can't pay your rent or buy food. And so I learned a sort of self-discipline that has served me well over the years. And then you're writing in public, and so if you write a good article, people are congratulating you, like, good job. And if you write a real dud article, no one says anything and pretends it doesn't happen. And so I learned how to not be so self-indulgent and keep aware of how my story is getting across. And it was nice to, start paying my bills by writing.
Okay, that's a video. So we've seen Whitehead spent all his effort and best of his inspiration on writing for the Village Voice as well as his first novel. After 8 years of hard working, he published the first novel, The Intuitionist. And right after the publishing, the book received a very good response, both from the reader's side and the academic side. Score magazine named The Intuitionist the best first novel of the year, and GQ called it one of the novels of the millennium. The book was also nominated as the Common Novel at Rochester Institute of Technology, and received the award of the New York Times Notable Book, as well as lots of other awards and honors. Whitehead has gained his confidence because of this very first fiction. The Intuitionist is the very beginning of Whitehead's writing career. After this book, he became a full-time book writer. He published another 6 books from then on. He published John Henry Days in 2001, The Closers of New York in 2003, Apex Has the Hurt in 2006, Sag Harper in 2009, Long One in 2011, which is a New York Times bestseller, The Noble Hustle in 2014, and the famous The Underground Railroad in 2016. Instead of introduce each of his books a little bit, I decided to talk one of his books in detail today. The book I will talk about is The Underground Railroad, published in 2016. The Underground Railroad is an alternative history novel, which refers to a genre of speculative fiction consisting of stories in which one or more historical events occur differently. The novel tells the story of 2 characters, Cora and Caesar. Cora and Caesar are both slaves in the 19th century in the United States. The main character, Cora, is a slave on a planetary in Georgia. She decided to escape with Caesar. When escaping, Cora had to kill a teenage boy to protect herself and Caesar. Finally, with the help of a group of abolitionists, Cora and Caesar finally found the underground train system that brings them away from home. During Cora and Caesar's escaping, Ridgway started to hunt them. Caesar was caught and jailed by Ridgway and killed by an angry mob. Knowing this, Cora was angry and afraid, but she has to keep escaping. Cora arrived and stopped at a station in North California. She was found by a person called Martin. Martin knew that North California government agencies will kill Cora as soon as they found her. Thus, she decided to hide Cora in his home for several months. But eventually, Cora was recaptured by Ridgway. On the way sending Cora back toward Georgia, Ridgway was attacked by a group of escaped slaves. Cora was freed by them, but afterwards, Ridgway caught Cora again and forced her to take him to a closed-down railroad station nearby. But as long as they arrived at the station, Cora heavily injured Ridgway and escaped again. The novel ended here. We don't know what happened next. Different people may have different ideas on whether Cora was finally freed or be recaptured again. That's what Whitehead left the readers to think and imagine by themselves. But what noticeable was that Cora became more independent, strong, and confident after these escapes. We hope she won't be recaptured again. The novel is the latest novel by Whitehead, and the most famous novel among his novels. The novel received many great awards, including the 2016 National Book Award for Fiction and 2017 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. The Underground Railroad is one of the 2 books that received both the National Book Award for Fiction and the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. Colson Whitehead never stops to surprise the readers with new books. His book is not only fun to read, but also help people to know the history and make people to think. As Whitehead is still an active author, we're looking forward to his new book. Also, if you are interested in him and want to know more about him, here is his personal website. Let's take a look. So here is the homepage, and here is the events that's happening. If you are very interested in him, you can still go and check him. So here is his published books, and here is his biography. Okay, that's all. Thank you.